Let us feel that light spreading everywhere in the body. I see the body getting merged in this brilliant and yet soothing, beautiful luminosity. And with that I too see whole universe, everything is enveloped in the same one light. All different forms and their names all dissolved into this infinite ocean of luminosity. All is this light of consciousness, one without second. All is still, calm. It is the true, serene bliss and ultimate peace. This is the truth. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, like last about 13 years, we have been studying every summer some mystic discipline, and the idea behind that is firstly that the mystic experience, the union with the divine, is the goal ultimate of all different religions. And so, when we look at this different mystics' lives and message, it brings us to the awareness that these truths can be realized by all human beings, wherever they may be, with whatever religious background they might have grown with. It is this common heritage of humanity that we all can realize God. And so this is a universal principle. So it is thus we take up this study that look, the same truth gets realized by various paths that Sri Ramakrishna explained. And that gives us two more advantages. One obvious advantage is the fanatic ideas, the sectarian ideas that one has about one's own faith. They get transcended. We do not get into that mode of my religion is the best religion, most superior religion, and only those who belong to my religion or my particular sect in that religion, they alone get salvation. Others have to perish in the hell or eternal damnation, whatever. So, we get over this very silly idea which gives rise to violence and destruction of the true spirit of religion. So this is one obvious advantage of this study. Second advantage that Swami Vivekananda mentions is this tells us the true essential aspect of our religion. Whatever religion we may be practicing, it has lot of things. One is the absolute philosophical truths that come to us unchanged from time immemorial. These are the core truths of that faith. Then over the years, due to various conditions, all the paraphernalia gets added to it, which is not bad as such. It is useful for the practice of religion, provided we know what is paraphernalia, what is the essential aspect, so that as the times move on, we do not try to stick to the old paraphernalia which has become now meaningless and useless. And thus we adopt to the eternal principles in the new situation, new circumstances. The society, the times, they keep on shifting and changing. It is stupidity to hold on to those customs and traditions in the name of religion. And it is the because we try to hold on to those customs which may be followed in one community, in some remote village, and the people there and the people coming from there spreading all over everywhere, they feel that is the religion, and thus they miss the core important life giving principles of religion. And how do we separate it? How to separate it? They get mixed up so much. For example, in amongst Hindus, there is a custom of applying a vermilion mark on forehead in many communities. And then if that is not done, you are not religious. Well, what connection does it have with the truth? Well, don't ask. This is how you have to put this mark, then alone you are religious. And this gets so much ingrained that the core truths, the important fundamental ideas in religious experience, they get camouflaged in these various rituals which probably had some connection with these practicing these truths in some place, in some time, for some people. But now that connection gets lost for most, but yet they keep on practicing it, thinking that this is the religion. Now, how to separate it? And there comes Swami Vivekananda says that study of comparative religion makes it possible for us, because in all different religions, these great truths, they are the same. But the other, those customs, rituals, and such things, such extraneous things, they differ. And so when we study the other mystic disciplines of various different religions, what happens? We see what is common in them. Common part is the core part. The other things are, they are useful. Please don't mistake about this. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean all those rituals and other things are unnecessary and redundant. They are necessary. But they change according to time, place, person. And they are not the core aspect of religion. So study of mysticism helps us to know even what my religion truly is. So to that end, we have taken up this very elevating, ennobling study for past 13 years. So every summer we have been doing that. This summer, the special feature is that it is also a live webcast on YouTube. Earlier, in previous summers, this was not live webcast, not even video recorded. It was audio recorded, and that also not always, it didn't happen well. So therefore, this time it is a live webcast, so that many people who are not able to come because of the COVID situation, they also will be able to join it. Having said this, let me clarify about this year's topic. Plotinus, a wonderful mystic and a great philosopher. That study I was never exposed to before coming to this country. In fact, I had very vaguely heard the name of Plotinus. Plato is, of course, well known, and we have been hearing the name of Plato even in India since our middle school days. Plato was well known. Plotinus was not known. And it so happened that uh, I think it was year 2002 when I was pretty new here. I arrived in the summer of 2001. So, one of our devotees, a professor of philosophy, uh, Matthew Pugh. So I asked him that, well, you are professor of philosophy, and I am new here in this country. It would be very beneficial for me and the congregation here that I study some Western philosophy. Will you be able to help me with that? And very graciously he agreed. And he used to come here, or even in the Marshfield. Those days, in the summers, we used to be in the retreat center in Cape Cod, the town Marshfield. So he used to even drive there to teach me these things, and he was a wonderful teacher. So he took me from ancient Greek philosophy, various religious philosophies, the theologies about God propounded by various scholars and teachers, and he taught me about some modern philosophers as well. And then in the course of discussion, one day he said that let's study. We used to have discussions, comparative understanding of Vedanta and other philosophies. He said, you would like to, I'm sure you will like the study of Plotinus. I was not very sure, but by this time I had come to believe, accept his judgment. And so I said yes. And he opened this gate to me, Plotinus. And what an elevating study it was. I owe it to him greatly. I am indebted to him. He passed away a few years back. But this series, the talks on Plotinus, are possible only because I see his help showed me the way to this great treasure of philosophical and mystical thought. And so let us gradually look into this. One more thing I would like to make clear, because Plotinus is not so easy to grasp because of a very terse, laborious style in which he has presented his thought, and then the translations from Greek, again not done. It was difficult task. It is not easy to study. So there are limitations how a translator can simplify the original without being authentic. So therefore this study is not going to be an entertaining study, friends. One has to pay the really attention to what we are studying. It is to be like a studious scholar studying some intricate subject, that we have to pay attention to this. It is not storytelling, it is not anything that can be taken up as simple, entertaining, and still elevating study. No, friends, this is going to be terse. And so I beg your full attention while we proceed in this study. So, this is the first class, and it will be more or less introductory, as you see here, introduction, and then Porphyry and life of Plotinus. Some of these ideas we shall discuss today. That's what's happening. Okay. Let us begin with the prayers. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness of ignorance to light of knowledge, from the divided mortal existence to the undivided immortal existence. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Now, this is to begin with, let us pay some attention to what we mean by this philosophy and mysticism. Philosophy, it is in Latin, that is, it is philosophia. In Greek, the word also just comes as philo. So it means the love, attraction, getting bound with. So, and Sophia means wisdom, knowledge, intelligence. So it is love for knowledge. And this is a very special thing in human beings. We shall see that it therefore gives meaning to what we perceive with sense organs. That it is so many things we perceive, but what does it actually mean to me? The significance of it, that is what philosophy brings us to. It is something that analyzes the perceptions, and through the depth of analysis it comes to certain conclusions which give meaning to it. For example, we all know, like I see here one gentleman sitting. It is now, this is what the eyes are showing. It is, well, I know the name. I say, well, this is Richard Paloquin. But what does it mean? What this perception means? That there the philosophy comes into picture. That the likes, dislikes, how the mind of this person moves, what are the intentions behind it, the study of intentions. And then when we look at it, we see a pattern, and then we see the character of that person behind it. All of us have different characters. So, when you think of a person that you have been meeting for a long time, then you get the idea of the character of that person. This is actually we get into the realm of philosophy, that it is that character of that person. It tells you what to expect from that person, what not to expect from that person, how that person will respond in a given situation, and all those things come to you because you have analyzed the perception, and through that analysis you have come to make a synthesis. Analysis and synthesis go together. Only analysis won't do, and there is no possibility of synthesis unless you analyze. So analysis and synthesis together gives us an idea that what that person's character is. So we hear somebody behaved like this. Oh, well, we say that that is that person, and that is how that person is. Somebody that committed some mistake, and then that person said that, well, that's me, that is that happens in my these life many times, that's me. So we know our traits, somebody else's traits. We also know that when we further go deeper, what are our aspirations in life. So philosophy in general gives the meaning to our life. So, and what is mysticism? Mysticism, the mystic experience is when you, let us put it that way, as you reach the depth of analysis, ultimate depth of analysis, you reach the final oneness that transcends all reason now. Philosophy uses the tool of reason, but this tool has its limitations. And philosophy finally tells that up to this I can go, reason can go up to this. So now you have to step out of it, step beyond it, and then merge with that experience. That is called mystic experience. Also, it means another very important idea, that the analysis that philosophy brings to us, mystic experience tells that they are not just intellectual thoughts, but they need to be verified by one's own experience. So this is another important thought, that by experience you can tell, by bringing it to your experience you can verify the philosophical truths that you got through analysis. So mystic experience is that where one reaches the goal of one's life by becoming united with that transcendent reality, transcendent over the sense organs, transcendent over the mind, and you get united with that. That is how you can quickly understand what is mysticism. So, and what happens with that? With that experience, the life changes. As we learn, this is how a spiritual aspirant uses the learning. When you learn something, then your awareness changes. And then that awareness uh, changes your way of living as well. It is, for example, this present situation could be seen that, well, we see this terrible virus is creating havoc on the earth. So, when this knowledge comes, we now have to respond to it. How can we respond? We see, therefore, all sitting here have to put on a mask. With mask, people become conscious about it. That yes, I have to put mask. I have to keep social distancing. I have to be cautious about going to various places, taking up travels, and so far. So much, you can go very far also. Many become rather they do injustice to their fellow beings also by using the situation. They see that now maybe everything will go out of market, will not be available. So that knowledge prompted many people to react, to just hoard all the hand sanitizer. The hand sanitizer, which is as such not, who goes for all that keeping huge stock of them. But from all these drug stores or even other shops, the hand sanitizers vanished. See, this is the effect of how the knowledge and our understanding of the facts changes the life. Now it can be right or wrong, but what I mean is that it brings about change in life. So this philosophical wisdom should also bring about a change in our life. But the one big impediment in that is that we are deeply attached or habituated to the living style of ignorance. Ignorance, the new knowledge has come about intellectually, but it is being strongly resisted by the attachments that we developed in ignorance. So therefore, even after getting that knowledge, the life refuses to change unless we try to practice this knowledge in our day-to-day life. There is a system, a process of practicing this. So here we see that this is a special trait of human beings. Life as such is all pervading. All of us are living beings. But when the life comes to the form of where you can perceive it, where you can perceive these traits of life like protecting oneself, being conscious of I. Swami Yogatmananda gives a nice example that suppose a small little worm and is on the rail tracks and a big railway train is rushing on that track. Now the little life there senses that I am in danger and tries to move away from it. Imagine the situation that the same engine, because of some signaling mistakes, is coming in the opposite direction on the same track. Now the size is big, power is big, but there is no consciousness about protecting myself, and so they collide and they get destroyed in the process. So this is life, you see. The tendency that I and this world, I have to protect myself from the impending dangers which would be crushing me out. So against being crushed by the nature, the life tries to preserve itself. So not only preserve, to grow, to procreate, and so forth. So this is life. Now this life is in all this, you see different types of species. Darwin's evolution of species is well known. So many different types of living beings are there. Take, say, big animals like elephants, and those now extinct huge things, dinosaurs. So all of those, they are animals. Human beings and them. We saw the difference between what gets called inanimate and animate, living. Now amongst living beings, here is human being. Where does human being differ from others? And that is for in the quest of knowledge, wants to enrich the life through acquisition of knowledge, and the knowledge gives it a power. Because of knowledge, knowledge gives power, and this power in turn brings the life to more ease, comfort, and happiness. You can see, for example, I used to wonder that a small, this cowherd child is just guarding a big flock, guarding and goading a big flock of cattle. A small one, child with a small stick, or sometimes even without stick, would take this big flock of cattle, would direct them, and the cattle would exactly follow what the little boy is indicating through signs. And that's enough. Through various sounds, that one small little boy, all the big buffaloes and cows and bulls, they would be obeying that child. The child would be just fearless amongst them. Now imagine strength-wise, once small calf in that group, in that herd, even a small calf's one kick would be enough to kill that boy. And yet this boy has control over all of these. How does it happen? Knowledge, friends. Knowledge. And that is why human beings learn to ride horses. More powerful, but knowledge makes them tame the horse and ride the horse, not just horses, big elephants too. It is, I have a video of a beautiful temple And I had been to that temple, I had actually seen that, but now somebody sent me the video as well. That temple has a very well-trained elephant. And when there is this kirtan music, at that drum beats and cymbals, that the elephant is dancing to the tune of that. Now what is this? This control comes to you because of power. And how this power came? Because of knowledge. So this getting knowledge is a special trait of human beings. You won't find this trait in any other animals that at least I know of. They have their ways of knowing the world in their own limited way, but that's about it. They do not have the power to transcend the limitations that they are living in and to now develop different ways of knowledge. You can see in any different respect. No animal I know cooks the food. They collect the food. That's it. They don't seem to have any cooking process. And human being initially was just like that. Eat just whatever raw meat, bones, the fruits and such things from the trees, just eat raw. Now there are culinary universities, imagine, that it is how much development by knowledge, cultivation, agriculture, all this horticulture, it is all that comes, through knowledge. You get power and control. So this is a special trait of human beings, and what makes them thus? In that you find one very interesting thing that leads to mysticism, and that is the desire to transcend the limitations, to become free basically. The limitations, they as it were constrain our infinite capabilities, our true infinite nature. We don't like that. I am taking rather big steps, friends, but since you are very good Vedanta students, you can see these things clearly. That to learn means that we want to get over the bondage. That is how the process of or the aspiration of learning in human beings mean, that we do not want to get bound in this limitation, and thus we learn, break the conditions that constrain us, and thus go on becoming, instead of being controlled, we become controller. So you are in control because of knowledge. Knowledge, power, control. So this is how the systems move. And this, when it comes to the inner knowledge, that one sees sooner or later. Those who are wiser, they see it quicker. That all this knowledge is not of much use, but the knowledge of the self is of utmost use. Learn to know yourself, and thus you become free forever. You go beyond all limitations. All limitations. The other knowledge about this world will help you to go beyond certain limitations. Pain and misery in this world. That is the same condition for human beings. They learned how to cook, they learned how to make buildings, they learned how to put on garments. But did they learn to get over feelings like hatred, jealousy, rivalry, wars? No. Did they learn how to get peace? No. Did they learn how to control their unending desires? So all these problems still are there in spite of this worldly knowledge, and therefore that is the highest knowledge, that know yourself. Knowing yourself, then it changes the scenario completely. So that is how mysticism is the experience of merging with the reality that eludes senses and mind, thus leading to ultimate fulfillment. And that is how this is this mysticism. Now, while we look at the ideas of Plotinus, let us see an important personality here, Porphyry. Porphyry was probably the most prominent of the students of Plotinus, and he took down these teachings. He mentions that he took down the 54 teachings of Plotinus, 54 essays, and then he collected those and arranged those. This word Enneads has been given by him. Ennead means a set of 9. It is 9 means that in Greek, Ennead means a set of 9. Like a dozen means a set of 12 things. So Ennead, probably that used to be a popular way of counting those days, that nines, nines, nines. So count in terms of nines. So it is Enneads. So and he arranged them into 6 Enneads, and that is the way we have this Plotinus teachings available to us. He also wrote a biography of his teacher Plotinus. In amongst all the philosophers of that hoary age, only Plotinus is fortunate, or let us say we are fortunate to get the biography of one of those. None of other philosophers like Socrates or Plato or Aristotle, their biographies are not as such available. Of course, we have to admit that they were all at least 600 years before Plotinus. But even the other philosophers contemporary to Plotinus, their biographies are not known because nobody cared to note them down. Porphyry wrote the biography of Plotinus mostly from the time when he first came in contact with Plotinus, when Plotinus was 28 years of age. Since then he seems to have known Plotinus. So, and these writings were edited by Porphyry. He divided his writings into 6 groups of 9, hence the name Enneads, from the Greek word for 9. The arrangement of the treatises is also owing to Porphyry. It is, in fact, it is told that he arranged them in a way that fits this, making them 9. So if therefore he has made some one of the essays short, and one part of that essay was put somewhere else to make it conform to the set of 9s. So like if you have to fit everything in the 9 boxes, and then you put it in such a way that, well, things are, you don't have the 10th box, so you add more to fit the 9 box, or you make 9 and then other set of 9, then other set of 9. So like that he made 6 sets of 9 in the process, cutting some part of the essay, but he did not make it, that topic wise all this arrangement is wonderful. It is, he did not make it look like torn pieces. No. It is very consistently he made that, and he followed this ordering principle. It was not a chronological order though, because he himself said that some of the parts which were written at the end of his life maybe have been presented first, because it fits with that topic. So therefore we have a topic wise ordering. Like in the library there are various ways of ordering how to keep the books. Okay, let us order it author wise. So there is one order, okay, from the same author. Then there is the way that they are stacked subject wise. Usually that Dewey's Decimal System, the subject takes prominence. Then within that subject other things, sub-subjects, subtitles. Then there is the author's name in that, so by the same author and so forth. So Plotinus has ordered it subject wise. So therefore you see the Enneads like this, that the Ennead 1, the ethical discussions come there. Second and third Ennead is about natural philosophy and cosmology. The Ennead number 4 is psychology. Ennead 5, epistemological matters, more about the intellect and so forth. Then Ennead 6 is the number and the 1 that is above intellect, the 1. So again, know that this is not chronological. So a few biographical details that we get, that Plotinus was born in Lycopolis in Egypt. It is somewhere in northern Egypt in 204 AD. This is derived by Plotinus. He knew when he passed away, and that year he noted, and he knew more or less at what age he passed away. So by just subtraction, and with some other sources, he confirmed it that it is 204 or 205 AD. So at 28, interest in philosophy led him to Ammonius Saccas in Alexandria. So that was, till then it is mentioned that he didn't have much interest in philosophical learnings. But at 28 suddenly the life changed, and he had therefore decided to go to this teacher, Ammonius, a great student of Plato's philosophy, and went there in Alexandria. Alexandria was a great center of learning those days. So then he wanted to go to Persia, and also to India to study the Persian philosophy, Indian philosophy. Those days in Persia, the practice was the religion that is still known as Parsi, the Persian religion. It is sometimes superficially called as the worship of fire god. It is worship of God, and the fire is the tool that they use or the symbol they use anyway. So, and he wanted to study Indian philosophy, and so to that end, he decided to join the expedition of Emperor Gordian III when he decided to attack Persia. But on the way, the emperor's own troops killed him. He was assassinated on the way to Persia, and so Plotinus and others they came back, and then Plotinus seems to have settled in Rome for the rest of his life. There is no indication that he ever went outside. He had a very good school there. It seems that he had lot of students from all the elite classes, and that so a big school that he had, and many students. So he was managing everything well, and he passed away in 270 or 271 AD, depends, because at that when he passed away, Porphyry was away. So he afterwards came and he took the charge of that school later. So this is a very brief sketch. It is to be noted here that Porphyry mentions that Plotinus was an intensely practical person, a trait that is not usually found with those who have such philosophical temperament. They seem to be impractical. Plotinus, according to Porphyry, was not at all impractical person. And that gives a different flavor, therefore, to his philosophy. That the ideas that you have can be actually put in practice, lived. So, as a student of Vedanta, we know this, that we have to live what we learn. So, this Porphyry says that it is Plotinus was ashamed of being in the body. Actually, this made me, when this statement is I read first, that wow, that is really an important thing to note, that it is a sense that being, trapped in body. It is, one should feel ashamed of that, this being trapped in body, what happens? As such, I am all pervading. Now I am confined in a very small space. I am beyond all these distinctions like gender or age, that caste, color, and all that. I am independent of that, but being confined to body makes me see that I am, say, woman or man or whatever. The gender differences come up, age differences come up, the race differences come up, the financial status, educational status, all those things become important because of this one single thing, that we are confined in the body. So therefore one is ashamed of that, like somebody who is a king and used to palatial living is forced to stay in a small cell, and then some leftover crumbs are thrown to him for food, and he somehow manages to have some rags around. That's about it. So he's feeling ashamed. Oh, I am king. I used to live in that palace. That is what my true dwelling place is. So similarly, we are the kings of this universe, and living in this terrible prison of body as such a tiny dark cell that we have been pushed into. And so we have to try to get liberated. But we must feel this first, that we are trapped in this prison. How to get liberated? That is, it is not by killing the body, not by, that is not the way. You will just manufacture another body which could be worse. So, it is, and therefore that is one reason that no information about his past has come to us. I'll go for another 2-3 minutes, friends. Bear with me. Let us complete this. That it is, he would never mention about his ancestry, the place and the time of birth, and what was he doing till he was 28. None of that really one could make him speak about. And so we do not get it in Porphyry's biography because Plotinus refused to talk about it. But from other sources we know that he had, as it for all appearance, a comfortable life. Plotinus refused to stand to give sitting for making a portrait and such things. So this portrait, the picture that you see there is a photograph of a statue, marble statue, which is supposed to be of Plotinus. So he told his disciple Amelius, is it not enough to carry about this image in which the nature has carved us, and then you want to make image of this image? So it is, that was how his teachings were. We shall discuss through the next time, next Tuesday, we will begin his discussion on animate. What is the meaning of being animate? So let us conclude with the closing prayers. Can you put the closing prayers? The regular Tuesday closing prayers. And if you have that slide, you can put that slide in the end of this. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, the Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.